there. How you doing over there, Agustin?
Hey, hey. What's up,
Good
my sister?
evening. Hola, ¿cómo estás, hermano? Hermano Tino. Agustin to everybody, okay?
That's right.
You're watching The Face of a Hero. Happy Thursday to you all. It's been an amazing day today, and who we have as a hero today, you will totally agree with me that he is
Absolutely.
a hero. He does so much in the community, in Chicago, in Indiana, and we need more of who he is, right? And more of who
That's
he is
right.
and what he does in the community. So we don't want to keep him waiting because I know he could use some rest, and you guys will hear why I'm saying that. So let me bring him up without further ado. Ta-da! Here's our hero, Dr. McGee, Michael McGee. How you doing this evening, sir?
Good. How you guys doing? Thank you for inviting me on.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Thank you for coming on. I mean, as busy
Yes.
as you are, have you had time to breathe?
No, not really. And then I got something to do this Sunday as well at
Oh
Saint
wow.
Sabina's Church.
Oh, you're going over there with Father Flager?
Yeah, 12:30 to 2:30. You giving us the whole church once they're done, and we'll be doing. That'll be the last day of National Violence Prevention Week.
Wow,
So
Okay.
we'll be
that's
done.
awesome. That's awesome. So, Dr. Michael McGee is a hero, and you'll understand why we're saying that, and you'll know and you'll agree with me. And I had to bring him on, especially this week. I know I picked the busiest week, right, to bring you on. But thank you for accepting and for making time to be here with us, as busy as you have been, especially this week. But today, you're in the light. You're shining here with us as a hero with all that you've been doing in the community. We need to know who is Dr. Michael McGee. And we're going to have to hear who you are as a person, what you've been going through, what you've gone through in the past. So tell us, first of all, who is Dr. Michael McGee and where are you from?
I'm from Gary, Indiana. I'm an ER doc at Methodist in Gary and Maryville. But I also own urgent care in Hyde Park, Chicago. It's called Premier Health Network. And we were the first all-Black owned urgent care in Chicago. But I also wear some other hats. I have 3 national positions that all involve violence prevention. One is with the 100 Black Men of America, which is a mentoring organization. The other one is the American College of Emergency Physicians. These are all the 40,000 ER docs all over the country. And then the last one, well, I just was unanimously nominated to become the chair for the National Medical Association, which is the NMA Council on Violence Prevention. So we're doing everything we're doing with programming is something that we're going to take back to different communities where we all have a presence. So it's busy.
Wow.
Sounds
Congratulations
like
on
it.
that. That's awesome. And I think that you've been invited and you've been nominated and you've been brought to the table because of all that you do, but most of all, what you stand for.
Mm-hmm.
It speaks volume. But I want to know who's Michael before he became an MD, before he even thought of going into medical. Tell us a little bit about you. Something had to strike a chord or happen in your life to bring all of this, the greatness that you're doing.
I mean, a lot of things happen. Sometimes your life and your existence is led by your life and the experiences you have. So yeah, I grew up in a single parent family. My father was in my life, but he didn't stay with us. When he met my mom, he was actually married, and she had me when she was 19, and she was at that time wanted to be a physician, and she ended up being a little sidetracked. She ended up becoming a nurse after a while, but before that, we stayed in every project in Gary. I used to get picked on a lot, learn how to fight really well just to defend myself. But I was always altruistic. I always believed in helping others. And when I saw kids that were getting into situations from other kids, I would get in just to help the underdog. It was just my nature. And so just growing up, I grew up with my grandparents for the most part because my mother was always working. And so I learned a lot just from them. Just from my mom, kind of instilled in me the desire to go into the healthcare field. She was a nurse at that time. So I had a little bit of exposure to the medical field, but not a lot. Because I didn't know any doctors. I didn't know which route to take. But my grandfather, who died at age 98, had me outside cutting grass and learning the value of hard work. even as a 4 and 5-year-old. I was doing all kinds of stuff. Then my
Mm.
grandmother, who was very religious, had me in church, so I learned the value of prayer. And then my dad, you know, he was there, just taught me the value of discipline. And so all those things carried me throughout my life. And just all throughout, just going up, you know, in Gary, going to Williams Elementary, had some fantastic teachers that led me in the right direction. Got into some fights then. I remember 3rd grade, I was getting fights. And at that time, you can take corporal punishment and they won't call your parents. So
It wasn't child abuse, right?
a couple swats. I say, hey, just give me the swats and then don't tell my mom. So, yeah, I learned, you know, how to study really well. But, you know, in the Gary education system, you think you're doing really well, but when you compare yourself to others outside, sometimes you're not doing as well as you think you are. And I didn't learn that until I got to college. Even when I started at Bailey Junior High, my first week of junior high school, I got suspended for fighting. I just used to, you know, had that little chip on my shoulder, and I just didn't take any. And people like to try me a lot at that time. So even then, in the 7th grade, I remember having a paper route. I always was working, trying to do hard work, you know, learn the value of hard work. So I always was doing something productive for the most part. When I got to Lew Wallace, that's where I went. I like some kids do, I was suppressing my intelligence just to fit in. Trying to act like a class clown. I was in all the smart classes, but I didn't let a lot of people know. Even when I started playing football, the guys didn't know that I was kind of smart. I had one incident though, and I had a lot of incidents where I was getting into situations I would have to fight and defend myself. And I knew how to fight really well. I started taking boxing and martial arts. And back then, that's why I tell students now, back then you can fight all day. And, you know, you'll be friends with the guys 5 days from now or 10 days from there. But nowadays you can't do that because these guys, you fight, you beat somebody up, and they try to come at you with a gun now because that's the way the world is now. And so I had some horrendous experiences. I had a couple of situations where I got shot at 3 different times. When I was 5 years old, when I was 9 years old, and then a junior in high school was the closest I came to dying. In that case, I actually got shot from the back of the vehicle to the front, and the bullet went between me and my cousin's head. And this happened on 23rd Place, 2300 Place. I mean, we had gone to a little house party, and leaving the house party, I was driving my father's truck. I had my cousin with me and another football friend with me, and we were driving about to leave, and it was cars in front of us. And as I stopped and backed up to go around, I either hit somebody or they hit me. And it was a little bump, not much damage because we was going like 2 miles per hour. I was about to get out the vehicle. The next thing I know, I heard a loud pow, and then felt pain in the back of my head. And I just took off because my cousins and my friend was crouching down in the vehicle. And I just took off. And I'm driving thinking I'm shot in the head because I got blood coming out. And I'm like, okay, you can't be shot in the head if you're driving. It took a while for that to register. And so I realized that the glass from the bullet is what had hit my head, not a bullet itself. And so I drove home, I dropped my friend off, and I took my cousin with me so I can explain to my dad what happened. So I went to my dad's house, and we went and dropped my cousin off in another vehicle. Then I went to sleep. Didn't really dawn upon me how close it was until the next morning when I went outside and lifted the truck and saw the hole going from the back of the truck through the front window right by my head, and realized how close I could have came to dying. I just started crying. And so something snapped in me and said, look, I'm gonna do whatever I can throughout life to make a difference. And so I ended up deciding to go to Purdue, majored in the wrong major at first, majored in engineering. And when I tried to change my major, they told me, you can try to change your major to pre-med, but I'm gonna tell you, most Black men don't get into medical school. That was defeating. And I feel that the learnings that I learned from my family, power of prayer, and the resistance and resilience, I just took it upon myself to keep trying. And that's what happened. Eventually I got into medical school, and then I went to got a master's in public health from U of I, which is why I like, public health and trying to make a difference for whole groups. Physicians, you actually focus on the individual. Public health allows you to focus on the whole group of people.
Cool.
So I went to Rush, and then I left Rush. I went to NYU, and then finished up at NYU. I was the only Black male out of about 40 residents. And during my last year at NYU, my mom had started having some pain in the abdomen and at night, which is always concerning when you have pain in your body at night. And she was 57, because she had me at 19. And she was telling me about it, and my mother never used pain meds. She was like calling me saying, hey, I'm hurting a lot. I told her to go get a CAT scan. She got a CAT scan and showed fibroids. Like, oh, that's benign, for the most part, yada, yada. So she took some pain meds, and I didn't hear from her for a while, so I thought she'd gotten better. So when I saw her, she had lost a lot of weight. I was like, Mom, what is going on? I said, did you get, so I told her a while ago, I said, sometimes CAT scans can miss stuff. Can you get an ultrasound? Vaginal ultrasound. She didn't get it because at that time, she took a buyout and was about to start her own business as opening up an assisted living facility. And so she didn't get the ultrasound because she didn't have insurance. Didn't tell me that. I would have paid for it. So when I saw her, we agreed that she was going to get it. I was going to pay for it. This was in June, and she got it in July. When she got it, they showed that she had a pelvic mass. And so that she was told that she had to have a hysterectomy. And so then she went to get the hysterectomy, and I had told them to have the doc call me when she was done. So I'll never forget, I was driving back from Nashville, Tennessee, through Chattanooga, Tennessee on the highway, going back to Atlanta to start my job at Emory. And I got the call, and I put the doc on the phone, and the doc lives right down the street from me now. And he basically said, your mom has this kind of cancer. And when he told me what kind, I already knew that it was the kind that you don't even know you have it until you start losing weight. You start having this weird pain. You start having symptoms that are very vague, so you don't know where it's coming from. And so she basically had uterine cancer, also can be called ovarian cancer. And it's the kind, again, that most people, women, when they find out they have it, they have very mild symptoms, so it's hard to detect. So they told us she had a year to live, and within 3 months she passed. Wow. But what was striking, and I'll finish this up, my first week at Emory, that whole night I couldn't sleep. I'm thinking I went through all this way through college, medical school, just to have my mom die on me. And this was, I was an only child, so it was very hard. So I went to work at Emory, and that week I diagnosed 3 women. 2 of them had same kind of cancer. Got the ultrasound. And then one lady had squamous cell carcinoma, which is cervical cancer, from me taking an extra step. And we caught it early. And so it just let me know that God put me right where I needed to be, despite the tragedy of what was going on in my life. It made me feel that, hey, you didn't just go to medical school for nothing. You do have a purpose. And so when I started, my mom died within 3-4 months. She left my grandmother, who was 94. And then I had to make a decision to move from Atlanta back to Indiana. And so that's essentially what I did. And when I got back in 2008, this is when I started the mission of preventing violence, when I saw a young man come into the ER in Northlake who had been shot multiple times, and he had his football equipment on because he was a football player at Roosevelt. He got into a fight with a young man 2 days before, and that young man saw him on the field and went and shot him at the whole field like 3 or 4 times, and the guy got shot twice. He lived, but it just showed me then that the epidemic was coming. And here we are now, full-blown epidemic. We started our nonprofit P.O.P, Project Outreach and Prevention, and we're trying to make a difference here in Northwest Indiana and Chicago. That's my story.
Wow.
I love it.
Wow, it's a powerful story, and how God moved you as a child to now. And you've been doing amazing events in the schools around, not just Indiana, but in the areas of Chicago where it's so needed. Now, this tour that you're doing this week, is it something that has been done every year? Tell us about that.
So yeah, National Youth Violence Prevention Week is a national thing. And it's usually given by Students Against Violence Everywhere. And Students Against Violence Everywhere is a nonprofit peer-to-peer youth program that basically has a calendar of events. And they basically have certain events earmarked every year. This is one of them. They also have Safe Schools Week, which is the 3rd week in October. They have Gun Violence Awareness Day, which is June 3rd. So on those days, they like you to pretty much elevate the youth at that time and show them that you care. And so we were doing it prior to COVID. When COVID hit, we had to stop. And so here we are. We started again last year, and it was very successful. We went from school to school in not only Indiana, but Chicago as well. And this year was a little bit different because we were blessed to get a federal grant with the Department of Justice. And now some of the things we're doing now is for the schools that we have partners with, which is Westside and Gary, Maryville, and High School in Maryville, the Hammond Schools, Central and Mort, and then East Chicago Central. So we've done something at each of those schools, and we're finishing up tomorrow at Maryville and Westside. And in Chicago, we're partnering with the Church of God in Christ, who has a grant for violence prevention, where they're offering kids $400 upon completion of a 14-week program for violence prevention. And so we worked with the Church of God in Christ, and we had an event at Inglewood STEM, then with the Kennedy King College to meet with some of the older students who are 18 to 25. And then our last day is at St. Sabina's in Inglewood.
Wow. Wow. And in these areas, I think you're being moved to go in specific locations and schools. I don't think it's just because you have a partnership. Obviously, you reached out because you saw a need, right?
Oh yeah, we've been seeing a need. That's why we were doing it all throughout the whole years when we didn't have any money. And it's not like we have a lot of money now. The money goes towards the program that we're doing, and a little bit of funding goes towards some of the rally. But it's our mission. You know, our mission of P.O.P, Project Outreach Prevention, is to prevent and alleviate violence while also inspiring healthy lifestyles, careers, and positive behavior. So we've always been doing that. And we have 4 pillars. One is violence awareness, where we show the statistics pertaining to violence for our youth, to let them see that, hey, you're basically killing another person that looks like you, and you're basically committing genocide of your own race. And then the second part is prevention. And so we looked at the best way for our youth to prevent violence, and that was SAVE. Online is free, as peer-to-peer. And they also just partnered with Sandy Hook. Okay. And then the third thing was health awareness, in terms of trying to get youth that look like us to become, physicians, dentists, nurses, and now law. We have our health professionals enrichment program. And then the last one, which was the most evasive, was intervention. And right now we're doing that right now with the Department of Justice. We just came from the Lake County Juvenile Detention Center today. We're taking our program in there to teach them life skills and conflict resolution and all those beautiful things.
That's wonderful. And I will say this to the audience that's listening to or watching The Face of a Hero. This show is to spotlight those heroes that go above and beyond to their call of duty. Here is an MD, MPH, what does FACEP stand for, Dr. McGee?
So when you get into, when you join the College of Emergency Physicians, they have a fellowship for the College of Emergency Physicians. That's what it is. It's just showing that I'm an academic. I train students. I do community stuff. So that's all it is.
And you do that quite well. And of course, you can't do it alone. You have a team, but I'm sure that you can use more assistance and funding. Let me just say this. He is not going to tell you, but I hope you don't get mad at me for saying this, but he spends a lot of the funding that's needed from his own pocket, folks. That truly says a lot about Dr. McGee, that it truly comes genuinely from the heart. He's not out there to get popular. He's not out there to make money like some of you folks. You know who you are. He's out there to make a difference. You want to see the change he's becoming and being that change that he wants to see in each child that he saves. Yeah. And what he brings to the schools, what he brings to the community speaks volume. There's not a dollar sign that you can pay for what he does. There really isn't. So I'm reaching out. He's not asking, I am. Just like I told him yesterday, you know what? You will be blessed tenfold for what you've been doing, the sacrifices that you've been taking just to be available, to be there for our youth in time of need, in a moment of a cry, in a moment of bleeding in the hospitals. And he's doing this if you're a parent, for your child, for your child's friend. You just never know. We just lost a couple kids this past weekend from East Chicago. And doctors that work in the ER gets to see that firsthand. And this doctor right here, has seen that, I think, far too long, right?
Yeah.
I'm
In,
sure.
in, in saying that, Dr. McGee, share us what has been the toughest moment for you being an ER doctor.
I mean, Eve, is always tough, right? You deal with people who are talking to you 1 minute and the next minute they're dead. That's tough. Any baby that you take care of, any child that you take care of, you may have an asthma attack. You have to intubate, and now you can't take care of it. Any child that comes in floppy and have been involved with child abuse, we take care of that. We take care of kids who overdose on heroin, and we have to tell their parents this. So all that is a burden. Not to mention the kids that come in who's been shot, who was an innocent bystander, and you try everything you can and you do everything you can and you can't get them back. Then you got to go and tell the parents that you can't get them back. That's all a burden on all of our society. And so we got to do the things that we can do to prevent the things that we can prevent. And that is being safer with our guns, locking your guns up if you have a gun, talking to your kids about, hey, if you go to your cousin's house and that gun is out, that you go tell somebody. If you see a gun in the street, don't pick it up like it's a pot of gold, but it could have been just used to shoot 5 people. And now you get caught with the gun with your fingerprints. There's just so many things that our kids need to be aware of, how to act when you put over by the police. There's a lot of things that we can do that's preventive. And the biggest thing is anger management. People think that all these shooting incidents are occurring by people who are crazy. Well, the American College of Psychiatrists think otherwise, and they know otherwise. In reality, only 4 to 6% of people who have mental illness shoot people. Most of the people with mental illness shoot who? Themselves. That's why the numbers are so high when you compare gun people dying from homicide, people dying from suicide. It's like this double what the people are dying from homicide. People who are the shooters have mental unwellness. They don't know how to cope. They don't know how to resolve conflict. They don't have coping mechanisms to do the things they need to do, to take 5 seconds to think about their actions before they do it. And so that's why we in a society now, and then all this access to guns has just made it into a brutal society. And then you take COVID, which hit and caused so much strain on everyone, from kids losing parents and grandparents and not being able to bury them, from kids being hungry, from the social determinants of health, from over-policing and under-policing, from being homeless, from not having food, not having shelter, to not having mental health, to then having alcohol, liquor stores open, and drug stores and weed, and then guns. Yeah. So now it's a perfect ticking time bomb. And that's where we are now. We're now from 2019 to 2021, homicides went up 50%. That's an epidemic at its finest. It's not getting better. So we need everybody out there from the public health perspective, wrapping their arms around these kids in any way they can and being there for them.
Literally wrapping their arms around them.
And not taking advantage of them. That's the best way to really have a kid want to go get a gun and shoot you, because you take advantage of them at their most vulnerable moments.
Yeah. Are you guys also targeting the homes of some of these kids that, because a lot of them, they have a not that good of a home life. And so what they're learning at home, or lack of, they're taking it and they're actually being raised by gang members, let's say, and they take them in as their family members. And you know how that goes. Yeah. Misery loves company.
Without a doubt. If you're not there for them, they'll find some person who would be there for them, not for the right reasons, but in their mind, it's the right reasons. Right. But yeah, you're right. But like I said, it's hard to, if you're working on a kid, it's hard to even get to their parents sometimes. And some of the parents is not there. Some of the parents is not all their fault, right? I empathize with the parent, right? Because my mother was able to do well with me because she had to work and make a living for us. Luckily, I had my grandmother, who also had 8 other kids that belonged to her kids. So, and that in itself was difficult because I had to fight my own cousins. Yeah. And so there are a lot of parents now who don't have a trusted family member who can take care of their kids. So they fall through the cracks. And so I just try to empathize and look at every perspective. But yeah, we can do better parenting, but then, we also have to have help from everyone else as well.
Exactly.
not so much as the parenting, but you know what helped? What helped you was you had the fear of God in you. So that's the difference from our generation growing up to this generation that
Resilience.
doesn't have that. They,
Resilience. There you go.
Resilience.
they don't.
Yeah.
There's no respect for life right now.
No, no value whatsoever. They don't value their lives, but it's generational. It's a vicious cycle that we've been seeing generation after generation. But
Mhm.
Dr. Mimi, back to you. You're the hero. So let me ask you, how do you balance all this? I mean, seeing what you see in the hospitals, in 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 the emergency room with someone getting shot or just lost a couple of kids in the last few weeks or what have you. How do you keep that from taking it home, or how do you balance that out?
I mean, I know how to balance it. I could do better. I take my trips. And my family, we do things together. We go to the movies a lot. I run, walk. You know, my goal now is to complete my black belt. I have a brown belt, so I said I've done a lot. So my goal is to get that. My daughter takes martial arts, so I really want to get my black belt.
Beautiful.
It takes a while to do that. So
He's putting his mind to it. He can do it, and you all can do it. And
Absolutely.
he's living by example. Truly, people, he's
That's right.
living by example. And Dr. McGee, obviously, it takes a village to raise a child, and you have come across some challenges. Now we're going to talk to the educators, the schools. What have been those challenges? Because I know that you would love to have these programs in every school. Am I right or am I wrong?
of course, I mean the challenges is, I mean, I understand their challenges. Um, I think about the fact that a lot of schools probably have a lot of programs trying to come at them for their own reason. A lot of these schools, a lot of these programs have grants where they have to have kids. So they may be a little selfish because now they got a little bit of money and want to do what they need to do to try to get into the schools. They have goodness in their heart, but then think about if you got 10 organizations coming like that
Mhm.
to an administrator. And the administrator's job is to educate these kids and get them prepared to get out of there and go into college or wherever they're going to go. So they're not thinking about your program. Now, if this is a program of value, which they're starting to realize now that violence goes hand in hand with everything now, then you're more apt to be able to get to where you need to be and be in those schools. And they still have to recognize that, hey, a kid that's in fear and in a safe environment at their school is not much you're going to be able to do for them or with them if they're scared and they don't have any solutions for what they're going through. And that's where some of the educators got to come to understand, hey, it's a fine balance. As a matter of fact, I said this back when I started Pop on Violence, is that we got to change the whole curriculum now and have more conflict resolution discussions. And it's got to be ongoing. You got to start even with the younger kids. And that's why we're trying to push that SAVE program, which is free, it's online, and it teaches social emotional learning for our kids, so that now it's less of a burden for the schools. So imagine this: if you had every elementary school students, every junior high students, and every high school students learn and SAVE, students against violence everywhere, then one of those elementary students get to high school, they're gonna be in line. They're gonna be your leaders, teaching other kids how to be a leader and prevent violence and do community service. Because that's where a lot of the ideas come from that I do. And just something as simple as National Youth Violence Prevention Week, where you have everybody to pause across the country and recognize their kids and elevate these kids and show them that they care, then these kids won't feel so lost and feel they got to go downtown to march and be destructive. Because the reality is, it's just like when there's a few bad cops in that crowd for Chicago, just a bunch of kids saying, hey, let's go out and have some fun. It's a nice day. And then a few apples made it worse. So you can't really overgeneralize that it's all of them. It's just a few. But what happens is, who's seeing that on TV? And it's causing fear.
Yeah.
Then now these kids make a wrong turn and go to somebody's house, and now somebody busts a cap in them because they're thinking they're coming to rob them. Because they've seen the kids on TV and they want to generalize that all of them are like that. So that's what the problem is. That's why we still got to be educating the kids in the schools and still have some other adjuncts to the program. That's why something free and online is an adjunct to me. Just got to get the buy-in for it.
Right. And of course, you could never have enough money to do what you do And I'm just doing the ask right here on this
Oh,
show.
we love to ask.
Okay, let's all be that hero and sow a seed. Plant a seed to change the community, change the future. You know, like Whitney Houston, may she rest in peace. I believe the children are our future. Yes, lead the way. Okay, we as adults need to lead the way, but also plant a seed for someone else to water it. And when I mean plant the seed, I'm talking about a financial seed.
Mhm.
A financial seed. You see the website on the bottom of the screen, poponviolence.org. Feel free to reach out to the team. Say, hey, I want to write off some money. You know, I'm a corporation, and you know what you're talking about with your budget, right? You know your year-end fiscal year. You got to donate a few couple of dollars every year. Well, add this organization to your list that you can write off. You need to do that anyway, so it's not going to hurt you. But know that you're planting a seed to change the narrative, to change the future. Here we have our hero today, which is Dr. McGee, and he's been a hero in several different gamut, if you want. If you will, if he's talking about being a person that will save a child in an ER, or your father or your mother, somebody in the ER, to being out here in the schools trying to save a student from one, committing suicide, two, gang banging, three, trying to prevent some violence. You know, violence prevention is huge of what Pop on Violence, Youth Violence is doing. It's an outreach program. And then this Stop the Bleed. What I saw, many people don't know how to stop the bleed, Dr. McGee. What is Stop the Bleed for those that don't know?
So in 2008, under the Obama administration, the Department of Homeland Security started seeing all these mass shootings. And by the way, a mass shooting is not just a man with a lone gun that goes into a school and shoot a whole bunch of kids. A mass shooting is 4 more people that get shot. That's not the shooter. 4 or more people that get shot at a scene. That's not the shooter. So you got mass shootings going on all the time. And it's usually interpersonal issues. It's altercations that starts that. And if you look, and this is a fact. If you look at FBI data for homicides, and they looked at specifically the black population, and it showed that most of them got shot by somebody they knew, about 79%, 87% shot by a handgun, and then a lot of them, in terms of why they got shot, people think gangs is the reason. Gangs for the past 6 or 7 years, about 11 to 15%. But altercations is 50% of the time as to why people got shot. Wow. And it just shows you that we don't have any love for each other. There's no unity. There's no tolerance. Our kids play these games, and they look at the game and look at another human being as somebody they shooting on the game. And they're immune to it. They have no sensitivity to what they're doing, and they don't love each other. But yet we get mad when a white man shoots a black person, which we all should get mad. But we should also get mad when a black man shoots another black man.
Say
or a
that.
Hispanic man shoots another Hispanic man.
Say that.
To me, that's the genocide that I'm talking about.
Right.
It's voluntary genocide and then think about how other people see that. How are they going to value our lives if we're not valuing our lives? And that's where the problem comes in. And now they feel they can easily shoot somebody to come to your door by mistake. Or they'll sit here and coerce you into fighting them and getting angry. And then now they say, I'm defending my ground. And they shoot you and they get away with it. So it's a whole different world now here for our youth. They got to recognize that you can't be the fool you think you are, because these people will bust a cap in you right now.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, just you flashing the lights, I'm a kind driver. Somebody doesn't have their lights on, it's dark. I'll flash my lights to kind of tell them. But now, if they didn't like you doing that, they'll follow you. They'll road rage you.
Road rage is real.
Oh my God.
They'll shoot you and then keep going, and no one would ever know you got shot.
Especially on the Dan Ryan.
Yeah. It's scary. My wife, I told her, you can't be doing this and making a finger at people or being mad at somebody, and because what you just said, they'll do exactly that.
You don't know what's going on in their mind. It's been a heart problem that we've been having for years, which is why we have so much violence. Domestic violence has increased. Suicide has increased. The drug addiction, we're getting teenagers, we're getting middle schoolers, 6th graders that are now doing drugs.
Yeah.
And they're telling you they're doing drugs. I mean, it's become a huge epidemic. that we all need to be stepping up to the plate and become part of the solution. We are so into this news. I don't watch the news, Dr. McGee. I'm going to see it just by going like this on Facebook, right? It's already posting there for me. And it's like, wow, we are becoming immune to this thing that now we're cheerleaders, now we're spectators instead of jumping in to help. It's become like, oh, let's see who's gonna save you now. You know, that kind of attitude. I got you now.
Yeah.
Right.
And we're losing so many kids to violence. We're losing so many kids to alcohol, to drugs. And your program is that program to help prevent. So you were talking about the Stop the Bleed, where I was asking about Stop the Bleed. If you got tampons and you have what's the other?
So Stop the Bleed is basically, as I said, we're trying to teach everybody how to go out and stop the bleed. And it's basically assess the scene. If there's a shooter that's still shooting, do not come out. Stay here to turn your phone off. If it's somebody who just shot somebody and they're leaving and you know they're gone, then the scene is safe. You can tell EMS the scene is safe. Because believe it or not, if EMS arrives on the scene and the scene is not safe and you bleed in the street, they won't go out and get you because the scene is not safe for them either. So you got to wait until the scene is safe. Then you go and you call 911 because people forget to call 911. And then when you go to the person that has a wound, it's usually an arm, a leg, or even a neck. If it's somebody shot in the torso or the abdomen, not much you can do. The body has about 5 liters of blood, and that's equivalent to a 5 gallon of milk. And then, 1 gallon of milk and a 2-liter bottle of 7-Up. If all that's eked out on the floor, then when you get to the hospital, I can't do anything for you because you're already beyond shock. There's nothing I can do. And so they tell everybody that, hey, if you find a wound, take off your T-shirt, use a paper towel, use a rag, use a sanitation napkin, use a tampon, and you basically go into the wound and you hold pressure and you hold it tight like you're doing CPR until EMS arrives. That's essentially what we're trying to tell everybody to do. And those simple things alone can help prevent you from having a loss of blood to the point where you get to the hospital. Now, the way the world is, there's some hospitals where you may have a shortage of blood. American Red Cross has a huge shortage of blood.
Yes, they do.
So it's scary out here because, you need blood for all kinds of situations, OB emergencies, GI bleeders, babies being born. It's a whole bunch of reasons. So we're just trying to tell everybody to do their part and trying to teach them some skills that may save a life in the future.
Right. Instead of talking about the problems that we're seeing every single day on social media, let's start talking about the solutions and come together and be part of that life-saving technique. And what he just showed, what he just spoke on, you spread that tip or that knowledge that now he just shared with you, with your loved ones, because not everybody even knows how to do CPR.
Exactly.
Yeah, we teach that as well to our youth. We're not doing it on this tour because it takes a little bit more time, but we teach hands-only CPR where you just see if someone's down, you call 911 again, and then you basically try to check a pulse. If you don't feel a pulse, don't worry. You just start compressions. You just go, 100 compressions a minute until EMS arrives. Wow. And that's what happened with the young man on the football field. They held pressure. They started doing CPR, and he's walking around today because it works.
Amen to that. How important is, I know the answer, but we don't know who's viewing this. How important is it to have a defibrillator around in schools and businesses?
Oh, every sport-related place should have a defibrillator. I mean, that's almost law now. Wherever you are, where people are having activities, because the activity increases the pressure on the heart, and if you have a predetermined condition, it can be exacerbated by exercise or activity. So they expect you to have a defibrillator around. Wow. And then, places where it's high volume, Las Vegas got defibrillators everywhere, because they know what people are there. They don't know. So a bunch of people get excited when they win or lose money.
Right. Excited in a bad way or a good way.
So they already have, some vices that's probably added some blockages around their heart. So, yeah.
Wow. Wustin, you have any questions for Dr. McGee? I have a few more.
I had one question. Once he was talking about, we were talking about defibrillators, and it lost my, I lost my question. But I'll come up with a question. It'll come back to me.
It's okay.
It'll
What
come back.
would you ask? Well, no, what would you tell yourself, your 12-year-old self, now knowing what you know now?
What I
I
would
was
have told
12
myself,
or 10. Yeah.
probably to study harder and take my classes more seriously. Yeah. And I probably wouldn't even gone to the Wallace. I had a chance to go to Andrean.
Well,
And I chose
Brand, you would
not.
have been in Niner.
I didn't want to be a nerd. That was my thought. I've
Oh,
already been in the
excuse
Gary.
me.
I'm just telling you, I lived on 52nd. Andrean was like 55th or something. And
59.
yeah, 59, a couple blocks away. And I did not want to leave all my friends in the Gary school system. I was already integrated. And I didn't want to be going and wearing outfits and uniforms. So I was
That's
like, nope.
okay.
I'm just saying in general. Now I'm saying I should have done it. I would have been better prepared for college. When I went to Purdue, it was a shock for me. I chose the wrong school anyway. I was going in for engineering and hated it. I should have gone to a school that was sensitive for somebody who wanted to be a doctor and have a pre-med program. So,
When did the light bulb go on and go, this is what I want to be?
I mean, when I changed my major, my second year, after I had an F average.
What? You had an F average? To those
Yep.
kids that are flunking, don't feel bad.
No,
And that was in
no,
engineering.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying I wanted to change my major after I'd already declared engineering. And then when I wanted to change before school started, it was too late. I already had the classes. I couldn't get the other classes. So I went through a major that I shouldn't have never been in. And I wasn't doing well. So I got depressed. I stopped really going to class.
But you continued. That's the good thing. You pressed on.
Yeah, my resilience and prayer. And I learned how to study. I took test taking skills and I learned how to study better. And that's why now when in my part of my health professionals enrichment program, I got a 1-pager with all the tools for the kids to make straight A's and B's in high school and college. I tell them what they need to do, and I tell them the study tactics that I use that have been modified, but it's essentially the same techniques. So,
What year was that? Did you change your major in college?
I went from my freshman year to my sophomore year.
Okay, so it was early on.
It was early on. Well, it was actually after the first semester I changed it.
Okay.
Yeah, after the first semester.
This isn't for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's common because I know that my son, he did the same thing. He went the first, second semester, and then boom, he said, "This isn't for me," and he changed his major in that. But
it's better to do it then than to do it later.
Yeah. So the question I was going to ask is, I want to know more about your POP program and that, and what have you do you have a child that you've seen the most success rate or the success that it's made an impact on them?
Yeah, I've had several kids that's gone on to college. John Trail, I think you remember John Trail, Eve. Yeah, he's like graduated from University of Virginia, and he went into public health and getting a master's degree. And this guy had been homeless. His family had been homeless for a little while. And so we had other kids who went on to medical school, but a lot of times they go away, they leave here, they don't come back. So it's hard to keep in contact with them. But yeah, we've had a lot of kids have been successful, even in Chicago as well. I mean, the kids all the time, all over the place.
Wow.
That's wonderful. Yeah, that's what, when we're talking about you and what you're doing and everything, but I wanted to hear more about these kids that you've made an impact on also, because we have others. There's a lot of programs, and I'm involved, just like Eve is involved in mentoring kids in that. And I always love to hear stories about that. I always say, if you make a difference, even with one child, you've made a big difference in life in that.
Without a doubt.
And that's what I'm doing right now. I have a couple kids that I'm mentoring right now, and helping them navigate through life. I'm going to say that. And I love it. I love what you're doing, and not only as a doctor, but also giving back, because a lot, they leave, like you said, they leave and they don't come back, but you don't know. They might be doing something wherever they're at.
I mean, I've heard kids, people from different schools that have gone on and said, I became a doctor because of Dr. McGee and stuff like that. But I move around, they move around, so they don't come back here and seek me out or whatever. It's really hard to keep with them once they've gotten past college. Now they're going on to the careers, because that's like, I deal with them now while they're in high school, so it's kind of hard to keep up with them sometimes.
Right.
Then also, I didn't have. It would have been great if I could have enough funding where I can now say, y'all come back this summer and we'll give you a job with POP. I haven't been able to get to that level yet.
Well, we're already speaking it. I am touching and agreeing with you. You will have enough
Absolutely.
funding to do that. And my audience, our beautiful audience here on the Face of a Hero, put your hand in your pocket, your checkbook, and give back. If you're not one to go out there and volunteer out there to spend some time mentoring or educating or just doing out there serving, then one way you can serve is by giving a financial blessing.
Mhm.
Believe me, one child you bless is also a future you're blessing, because one child can make an impact from one child to another, so on and so forth. So you plant the seed, it's going to bloom. I promise you.
Absolutely.
Wow. Dr. McGee, the one thing that I am very happy to know that you're in LCJC, Lake County Juvenile Center. Those kids are kids that really need to be shown love to. Because obviously they're there, they're locked up. They weren't doing some good things, right? But I'm so glad that you're there. Kudos to Kevin and to everyone that's there at LCJC that opened up the door to Judge Tom Stefaniak as well. That's opening up the doors for other organizations to come in and bring programs to these kids, because just having them locked up is enough already to have them think a different way. But bringing in solutions into that place while they're there, at least they get to see some light and they get to express themselves and they get to see how someone else is succeeding and what they're all about, and bringing different ways or techniques to survive, different advice coming from the experts that are coming in, such as Dr. McGee. And Butter the Preacher, God bless you. I gotta give a shout out to Butter the Preacher. And I'm glad that you brought great entertainment into your program. And to all these schools, and it is so needed. But this is a program of value. No, Dr. McGee is not paying me to say this. I've been in the field with the youth for many years, and when I see something of value, I got to give credit where credit is due,
Awesome.
and I got to let the world know about it. Because if we don't share, we die and we bury the treasure in the cemetery. So let's
That's right.
empty out every single day, as Dr. McGee is doing every single day. You heard our hero, what he's done in the past and is currently doing and is working towards the future to make a better tomorrow for our youth. But they are our future, people. So if you don't step up to the plate, don't complain.
Right.
Any last minute advice or anything you want to share about your life? Here we have maybe about 6-7 minutes left.
I'm very happy about the innovative toolkit that we have that we're giving out, which was that card. We had made a little business card for youth. We made 5,000 for Indiana and 5,000 for Chicago. And on one side, it has the principles of conflict resolution to remind them before they pop off. And then on the other side, we have a scan code, a QR code they can scan to get resources they need for crisis, whether it be mental health, they want to kill somebody, they want to kill themselves, if they're having domestic violence in their life, if they're having concerns about LGBT identity and all those kind of things, teen pregnancy. Kids need to know you can't shake a baby, those kind of things they just don't think about. Homelessness, those cards have all the information any child would need. They may not need it the day they come to the ER, which is why I made it, because in the ER I didn't have phone numbers to give for them when they leave for kids. I had adult numbers, so I made it just for them. And then also we're working on a challenge for the youth, and we come up with a challenge called Stop the Bleed Challenge. We want to have as many kids as they can across the country doing Stop the Bleed sessions and putting it on a TikTok video where they singing, dancing, singing gospel, doing a spoken word, what have you. You could be age 10 to 24. And so we have two categories of winners, age 10 to 17, and then 18 to 24. So college students, they can apply, and the video, which is 30 to 60 seconds, that have the highest number of shares and likes will be the winner. So we're just trying to spread some good cheer on social media, because right now, some of the stuff they see is all negative, and it's do better.
That is so true.
And that's our biggest competitor, right? It's the glamorization of violence.
Right.
And so it's hard to compete with that. People don't want to hear good stuff. They don't want to hear about a kid making straight A's or a kid, becoming a pastor or something extraordinary. But they'll show a silly dance or somebody, scantily clad, or doing something silly like holding their breath the longest, or doing some of these weird things on TikTok videos that can cause harm to their health. We're just trying to put something else on their mind, and something that can be used to actually save a life. So,
well, thank you. Yeah, that says a lot. And you have shared so many great nuggets here on our show. You truly are a hero. If you guys know of any other hero, call us, go to our website, contact us. Dr. McGee will continue to be a hero, but he wants heroes to join his team. How do they get a hold of you, or can they just go straight to the website and you have
website's the best way.
There?
PopOnViolence.org. Feel free to come out to Westside tomorrow from 12:30 to 2:30. The auditorium can fit 2,000 people. They're going to check you at the gate, but feel free to come out, especially if you have an affiliation with Westside or any of the schools. The charter schools I've been invited. I think East School, I don't know if your school is still coming or not.
I've not heard, but I'm going to message tonight. Thank you for the reminder. I would hope to hear or see some of our Eagles show up, because this is a valuable program. Really is. Really is. And so the South Side, the West Side, Chicago, you guys got a diamond when you see Pop on Violence Prevention in your school, in your zone. Be part of it. Join them. I mean, ask Dr. McGee, how can I help? What do you need?
We need
financial
funds.
blessings.
We need funds.
Right.
We go to our website, and then we coming back. We haven't had a fundraiser since 2019.
Yeah, it's been a while, and those fundraisers are fun.
So we're now about to have our boat ride.
Yes.
Sunday, August 13th. And that's what we charter a boat at the Spirit of Chicago, and we have like 3 or 4 DJs, and we have a 7-piece band who's going to be performing on top of the boat. So it should be a fun event.
Nice.
And all the proceeds go to Pop on Youth Violence.
Well, I hope to be in town, available to make it this year, because I see the pictures and the videos, and everyone's having great fun, all for a good cause. And see, that's worth sowing a seed. Okay.
Absolutely.
For a good cause, but you're also having fun, and you're getting to network and meet other people. And, then you become part of the solution, not the problem.
No
we have enough of that.
I've been on the Spirit of Chicago.
It's fun, right?
It is. It is.
Wow. Well, go ahead. I'm sorry, Agustin.
No, I said, especially for, I've been on there for a couple fundraisers, and it's, how can I say it? It puts you in the mood. It puts you in the mood that you just want to donate.
And then you feel like you're somewhere else too.
That's right.
It's just a fun time. Yeah.
Well, you guys heard it. It's August what again, Dr. McGee?
But no, 13th. Absolutely.
Yeah, August 13th, Sunday, August 13th. And we'll have the boat for 5 hours.
Oh wow, that's a long time.
We'll dock. We'll be docked, and they'll you can come on and off, and then at 7 o'clock we'll roll out.
So, oh, nice. We got to make it to that, Agustin.
Yes.
Yeah.
We got to make it to that. Will this information be posted on your website? Follow them on the page.
We'll get all that set up for you. Yeah.
What's the Facebook page?
Pop on Violence.
Go and like his page and be aware of what's taking place. He has shared videos, and he has shared pictures of all this week of activities with the students, and the things you see are amazing. I was so touched yesterday. I mean, the Holy Spirit was alive.
It was.
It was awesome.
You brought it home with that prayer and that song. The song we played.
Oh, right.
Right on point. It was powerful.
Did you see how many hands went up?
Yep.
I was like,
Dr. McGee, you got a Instagram?
I do.
Not you personally, but the website, your not-for-profit.
I do have Instagram. I think it's the same thing, to be honest.
What's the handle? Is it Pop on Violence?
Yep.
Okay.
Or if you just type in Pop on Violence, it'll show you all the social media.
Yep. That's all you gotta do.
This way you can put your, put your boat cruise on there and send it out. We
will share. Don't die full, people. Empty it out. Empty out what you know. Share. Don't be stingy. You know, the
Right.
richest place in the world is the cemetery. Why? Because you're stingy, you're dying with everything that is meant for you to share. So
Yeah,
empty out. Empty out here with Dr. McGee on Pop on Youth Violence. It
that's right.
is a prevention outreach program.
It's for our
So a
future
financial
generation.
need. Exactly. We're trying, not we're trying because we are doing, making a difference, one student, one child at a time, one family at a time each day. Right?
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
Don't take
thank
your
you.
rich.
Sorry,
I was
I'm
gonna
sorry.
say, don't try and take your riches to the grave like Fluky Stokes.
Oh yeah, you're right.
That's
Okay.
right. That's right. Dr. McGee, you've been awesome. You're amazing. Thank you. And to your team, I don't know if you want to give them a shout out
Oh, yeah.
because it
Jennifer
takes a
and
lot of
Daryl.
work from what I was seeing yesterday.
Jennifer and Daryl, thank you so much. And Jordan just joined us as well. So thank you guys for helping us out. Glad you're here.
Yes, thank you. And Dr. McGee, continue being that hero. May God continue to bless you, give you
Yes.
wisdom, give you strength, because I know you need that strength. I don't know how many hours you're on sleep. A couple hours?
Yeah, I'm about to go to sleep now.
Well, we won't keep you any longer.
That's
Thank
right.
you. And I will see you mañana. I'll see you
All right.
tomorrow. Peace to
Bye.
you.
Take
God
care.
bless. Thank
Bye.
you so much,
Dr. McGee, thank you for being on the show. God bless you.
Yes. Wow. It was amazing. Maybe you ought to take a trip out here to Northwest Indiana tomorrow, Augustine.
Yes, yes. I wish I could, but my plate is full. But
I hear
I
you.
would like to go on that boat cruise, Vive.
Yes, let's do it. As long
I
as I
got it. I wrote it down, August 13th.
yes. And I saw those pictures. I'm like, we need some Latino blood up in there, people. Okay. So let's go. Let's go. All for a good cause.
Oh, absolutely.
And it feels so good knowing that you're sowing a financial seed, that you're giving back. You may not have the time, but you certainly have the dime. I'm a poet
And
and
you know
don't even
what?
know it.
When people say, I don't have no time, I don't have no time. I'm looking at this guy's bio. I'm sorry, not this guy, Dr. McGee's bio. I apologize. And everything that he's involved, I'm surprised he even has time for sleep.
That's why I had to ask. So, how many hours of sleep are you in? And doctors sometimes are up 24 hours.
Oh, yeah.
So, I'm sure this is something that he's used to, but he does balance out. And you guys heard it. If you didn't join in the beginning of our show, go back and hit replay. But we are live here on The Face of a Hero, and we come on every Thursday at 8 p.m.
Central Standard.
Central Standard Time. And of course, to my Twitch TV viewers, you're saying, this isn't Real Talk with EVE. This is The Face of a Hero, but you got EVE, okay? And my friend, my buddy, my brother, Agustin, that's right here next to me. Thank you so much for for joining me. So we're going to continue to look for some heroes to come on our show. We have a few already lined up to bring next Thursday and the Thursday after and the Thursday after. And these are amazing. We did get confirmation of a nurse that works in the neonatal department. They're the ones that really help take care of those little
Yeah,
preemies. I mean, doctors come in and check, examine, hear the heartbeat and all that. But in time of need, the nurse is who's there.
that's right.
And
They're
so
the heart and soul.
we need to hear their story. We need to know how they do it. What's got them to do what they do? Let them be the heroes here on our show. And if you know of any hero, all you need to do is call what number, Augustine?
773-809-0106.
Right. Go to thefaceofahero.com as well. Call us. You heard our show. You watched our show. Please share it with others. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Face of a Hero, and like our page, The Face of a Hero, as well on Facebook. And of course, I also share it on my LinkedIn. So to my LinkedIners, if that's a word, thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining me also on the other show, Real Talk with EVE. But it all revolves around one, the hero, and how he or she is part of the solution. And of course, the Real Talk with EVE is about solutions, solution-based program. It's real talk about real people with real issues, conversations that many people aren't comfortable to have, but need to. So on that, what's next? What's cooking? Good looking. What's next? I was thinking we got a couple of seconds left. Oh, there goes 1 hour. We're on the show for an hour.
1 hour.
We got to go. I still have calls to make, emails to return, and the day is not over yet.
It is. It is. It's been a long day, but anyways, Eve,
Tell me
it
about
was
it.
um until mañana, until next time.
Tomorrow, until
Be
next time.
safe out there. Be
Yeah,
safe out
you guys be safe.
there.
That's
Yes.
what that's
Crazy
what
world out there now.
yeah, it's a ugly world, but we have to make it beautiful one person at a
Right.
time. All right. On that, nos vemos, Agustin. Thank you.
Good
See you
night.
later. Good night.